for President Biden's assertion that diplomacy is back, it's not just a matter of diplomacy, because the State Department does much more than that. It's not just a matter of negotiating. It's a matter of getting back to doing what diplomats have done throughout the 20th century at the State Department, which is cable writing, reporting, getting into the back of beyond of places, escaping from the embassy in the capital cities, and traveling around the countries to which they are posted, and sending back reports so that people at the top end, at the higher levels, have a granular knowledge and appreciation for what's going on out in the field. Because one thing that I've noticed in the course of my career is that some very tragic major foreign policy decisions can be avoided if only the top policymakers had the same knowledge base or a similar knowledge base as the lowliest freelance journalist out in the field in the country under discussion. So it's not just a matter of diplomacy per se, it's getting back to doing what diplomats do, which is cable writing. It's very difficult. It'll be more difficult in the future for diplomacy to transcend social media, because diplomacy rather is about national interest. It's about bringing economic and military pressure to bear through diplomats at the negotiating table. And this is all about national interest, whereas social media, which dominates so much of our discourse, is transnational by design. It unites people by groups, whether ethnicity or a certain political position or a sexual gender or some sort of interest which transcends national interest. So diplomats are basically representing a population which is less nation state oriented. In that sense. And diplomacy also deals with the real world. It deals with what is out there. Social media may decry a dictator. It may say America should have nothing to do with this dictator. But diplomats have to deal with the fact, well, if not this dictator, then who? If we stop dealing with this person, then who do we deal with? What happens in the country? What is the alternative? Take the Saudi regime. A lot of people in Washington are angry at the Saudi regime. My opinion is that the Saudi regime is the worst possible regime you can imagine in Saudi Arabia, except for any other that would replace it. Unifying America through a Biden foreign policy would mean representing American interests, which get complicated because during the Cold War, none of our allies did any trade with the Soviet Union because the Soviet Union did not have an economy to speak of. Whereas we are and will be defending major states like Germany and Japan, who's, in the case of Japan, their largest trading partner is China. And in the case of Germany, their largest trading partner will be China, and they get natural gas from Russia. So, calibrating national interests is much harder now than it was before. Human rights, humanitarian affairs still will play a difference and help this, because if we simply do not pursue human rights and humanitarian affairs, our foreign policy becomes one-dimensional realpolitik, much like China or Russia. So it's human rights and humanitarian affairs which help distinguish us from our rivals in the years and decades to come, and can be a vehicle to get public support. That's why my latest book is about a humanitarian who spent 40 years for the State Department going to every war and disaster zone and seeing geopolitics from the ground up.